Hello, and welcome to Daily English Flow. We're really happy you're here. I'm Amelia.
And I'm James. On this channel, we practice real, everyday English with natural conversations.
If you enjoy learning this way, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. All right, let's get started.
So, Amelia, before we jump into anything serious, let me ask you honestly, how does it feel to suddenly realize another year has already passed? I swear, every January feels slow, and then boom, suddenly it's over.
Oh my goodness, James, I know exactly what you mean. It honestly feels shocking sometimes, like time quietly sneaks up on you while you're busy living your normal life, drinking coffee, answering emails, and thinking you still have plenty of time.
Exactly. And that's why I thought today would be perfect to talk about reflecting on the past year, because people always say time flies, but we rarely stop to think about why it feels that way.
That's such a good point. Looking back, the year didn't feel dramatic day by day, but when I think about everything that happened, emotionally and personally, it suddenly feels very full and intense.
Same here. At the start of the year, I made so many plans, like unrealistically many, actually. I was confident, motivated, maybe a little delusional, laughing at myself now, thinking I could completely change my life in 12 months.
Oh, wow. That sounds painfully familiar. Let me guess. Gym goals, productivity goals, maybe learning a new language, waking up early every day, and becoming a completely new person by February?
Wow, okay, are you reading my diary or something? That's frighteningly accurate. And honestly, some things worked, some didn't. But the emotional roller coaster of trying was already an experience on its own.
I love that you said that because people often talk only about success or failure, but not about the feelings in between the confusion, the excitement, the stress, the moments of doubt, and those tiny victories that nobody else sees.
Yes, those quiet moments matter so much. I remember thinking halfway through the year that nothing special was happening. But later, I realized I had slowly changed habits, thoughts, and even how I talked to myself.
That realization can be emotional, honestly. Sometimes growth doesn't look like fireworks or big announcements. It looks like handling stress better, reacting more calmly, or it's simply not giving up when things feel uncomfortable or uncertain.
Absolutely. And that's why I'm really excited about today's conversation, because it's not about perfection, it's about real life, real feelings, and giving people language they can actually use to talk about their own experiences.
Exactly. And I hope listeners feel comfortable relating this discussion to their own lives, whether their year was amazing, difficult, confusing, or a messy combination of everything, because that's normal and honestly, that's human.
You know, Amelia, now that we're talking about reflection, I'm curious. If you had to choose one moment from the year that really stands out emotionally, not the biggest one, but the most meaningful, what would it be?
Oh, wow. That's a deep question already. I think it wouldn't be a single dramatic event, but rather a period when I felt completely overwhelmed and still managed to keep going, even though I doubted myself almost every day.
That sounds intense. Was it work related, personal, or one of those situations where everything seems to pile up at the same time and you don't even know what exactly is exhausting you?
Honestly, it was that exact combination. Work became more demanding, expectations grew, and at the same time, I felt pressure to stay strong emotionally, which, looking back now, wasn't very realistic or fair to myself.
I relate to that more than I'd like to admit. There was a moment when I realized I was constantly busy, but not necessarily productive, and that realization hit me harder than any failure ever did.
That's such an important realization, though. Being busy can feel like progress, but sometimes it's just noise, stress, and distraction. I remember feeling proud of myself for surviving, not succeeding, and that felt new.
Surviving as an achievement sounds strange to some people, but honestly, it shouldn't. Some years are about building, others are about endurance, and both deserve respect, celebration, and a little self compassion.
Exactly, and I think that's something people don't hear often enough. You don't always need a big win to justify feeling proud. Sometimes not quitting is the win, even if it doesn't look impressive from the outside.
If people saw the inside of my brain during some months, they'd give me a medal just for staying functional. I mean that seriously, with all the overthinking and self doubt involved.
Oh, absolutely. And the funny part is that at the end of the year, you suddenly forget how hard it was. You just remember that you made it through, which almost feels surreal.
Yes, it's like time smooths out the rough edges of memory. Pain fades, lessons stay, and suddenly you feel stronger without fully remembering how you got there, which is both comforting and confusing.
And that's why reflection is so important. If we never pause to think, we miss the chance to actually understand our growth, instead of just rushing into the next year with new unrealistic expectations.
Speaking of expectations, do you remember what you thought this year would look like back in January? I remember being wildly optimistic, like everything would magically align if I just planned hard enough.
Oh, yes, I remember writing long lists and feeling so motivated. I genuinely believed I'd have more energy, more time, and fewer problems, which now makes me smile because life clearly had other plans.
Life always does that, doesn't it? It listens politely, nods, and then completely ignores our plans, teaching us flexibility whether we want it or not.
Very true. And yet, even with all that chaos, I think we learned something valuable about ourselves. Maybe not what we expected, but definitely what we needed.
You know, Amelia, something that still blows my mind is how fast the year disappeared. I clearly remember thinking in January that time was slow and generous, like I had endless space to figure everything out.
Oh, yes, absolutely. At the beginning of the year, every month feels wide open, full of possibility. And then suddenly you blink and you're wondering how it's already the end of summer.
Exactly. It's like one moment you're planning things, and the next moment you're saying, wait, when did all of this happen? Before I knew it, routines had taken over everything.
I think that's the key word, routines. When days start to look the same, time kind of melts together. You're busy, productive even, but emotionally, it feels like the months blur into one long stretch.
That's so true. I remember weeks where nothing bad happened, but nothing memorable happened either. I wasn't unhappy, just distracted, constantly moving without really being anywhere mentally.
Yes, and that's why certain moments stand out so clearly. Not because they were perfect, but because we were fully present. For me, one of those moments was taking a short break away from everything.
Oh, really? Tell me more. Was it one of those spontaneous trips, or something you planned for a long time and almost canceled because life got in the way?
Laughs. Definitely the second one. I almost didn't go. I went to a quiet place outside the city, no constant notifications, no pressure to reply instantly, and suddenly, time felt completely different.
That sounds amazing already. Let me guess, the days felt longer, calmer, maybe even slower in a good way?
Exactly that. I woke up without rushing, noticed small things like sounds, light, even my own thoughts. And for the first time in months, I wasn't counting hours or thinking about what came next.
That's such a powerful contrast to everyday life. It's wild how removing distractions can stretch time emotionally, even if the actual number of days stays the same.
Yes, and it taught me something important. Time flies when you're distracted, but when you're present, even ordinary moments feel meaningful and memorable, almost like they slow down naturally.
I love that idea. And you know what? I had a similar realization, but in a completely different setting. For me, it happened during something very ordinary, not a trip or a break.
Now you've got my attention. What was it?
One day, I suddenly noticed I wasn't forcing myself through my routine anymore. I wasn't dragging myself mentally. I realized I was actually enjoying what I was doing without resistance.
Oh, wow. That moment when something stops feeling like a chore and starts feeling natural is huge. That's when a habit becomes part of who you are, not just something you try to maintain.
Exactly. It felt quiet but emotional. I remember smiling to myself and thinking, this is new. Something has changed. And that realization stayed with me long after.
Those are the moments we rarely celebrate, but they matter so much. They show real progress, even if nobody else notices or applauds it.
You know, Amelia, as meaningful as those moments were, I think it would be dishonest to say the year was only positive. There were definitely things I wish I had done differently, and that realization still stings a little.
I'm really glad you said that because reflection isn't complete without honesty. Growth also comes from admitting what didn't work, even when it's uncomfortable or makes us feel slightly disappointed in ourselves.
Exactly. For me, one of my biggest regrets was starting something with so much enthusiasm and then slowly letting it fade away. I convinced myself I was too busy, but deep down, I know it was about priorities.
That's such a relatable struggle. At the beginning, motivation feels effortless, almost exciting. But when life gets loud and demanding, consistency becomes the real challenge, not the initial desire to improve.
Yes, and the frustrating part is realizing I didn't fail because I couldn't do it. I failed because I tried to do too much at once, expecting myself to be unstoppable instead of realistic.
That lesson can be painful, but it's powerful. Sometimes ambition turns into self sabotage when we overload ourselves with goals that compete instead of support each other emotionally and mentally.
Exactly, and accepting that took time. But what about you? Was there something this year that left you with a sense of regret? Maybe something you didn't notice until it was already gone?
Yes, and honestly, it still hurts when I think about it. I slowly lost touch with people who mattered deeply to me, not because of conflict, but because I kept choosing later instead of now.
That's really heavy. Losing connection quietly can be even more painful than a clear conflict, because one day you realize distance grew without a clear moment when it started.
Exactly. At first, it felt temporary, like I was just busy. But over time, invitations stopped coming, conversations became shorter, and suddenly there was this awkward silence where closeness used to be.
That realization must have been heartbreaking. It's scary how easy it is to trade relationships for productivity, thinking we'll reconnect someday without consequences.
Yes, and when I finally reached out, they were kind and open, but something had changed. The warmth was still there, but the ease was gone. And that made me realize how fragile connection really is.
That's such an important insight. Success feels empty when it costs relationships, and sometimes we learn that lesson only after feeling the loss, not before.
Exactly. It taught me that balance isn't optional. You can't postpone human connection indefinitely and expect it to wait patiently. Relationships need time, attention, and presence, just like any meaningful goal.
That's such a powerful realization, and painful lessons often stay with us longer than comfortable ones. But maybe that's what makes them transformative instead of just sad memories. You know, Amelia, after all this emotional honesty, I think we should admit that not everything was deep and dramatic. The year also gave us moments that were just ridiculous.
Oh, absolutely. Some moments were so embarrassing that they still make me laugh and cringe at the same time, which is probably a healthy sign of emotional recovery.
That sounds promising already. Okay, now I'm curious. What's one of those moments you'll never forget, even though you might want to sometimes?
All right, confession time. I was in the middle of a very serious online meeting, trying to sound professional, confident, and intelligent, when my pet decided it was the perfect moment to steal the spotlight.
Oh no, I can already imagine chaos. Please tell me there was noise involved because silent embarrassment is bad, but loud embarrassment is legendary.
Oh, it was loud, very loud. Everyone heard it. I froze, my face turned red, and for a few seconds, I seriously questioned all my life choices. But then people laughed, including me.
That's amazing. Honestly, those moments humanize us. My funny disaster was more culinary. I tried to impress friends with a fancy meal and ended up ordering takeout because my confidence was stronger than my skills.
I love that. And those stories always outlive the successful moments. Nobody remembers the perfect dinner, but everyone remembers the disaster with affection.
Exactly.
And looking back at the whole year now, I can honestly say I changed. I'm more patient with myself, more aware of my limits, and strangely more confident because I survived discomfort.
I feel the same. I became more resilient, less afraid of asking for help, and more conscious of what truly matters. The year didn't make me perfect, but it made me more honest with myself.
And that honesty changes how we speak about our experiences. We don't just say it was good or it was bad. We can talk about ups and downs, lessons, and moments that paid off.
Exactly. Phrases like looking back, before I knew it, or time flies help us express those reflections naturally without sounding scripted or artificial in everyday conversations.
And that's what we want for you, real language for real life. So before we go, let's ask you something important. What is one thing you're proud of from the past year, even if it seems small?
And what is one goal you have for the year ahead? It doesn't have to be perfect or impressive, just honest. Share your answer in the comments and try to write in English.
We read your comments, we really do, and your stories inspire others more than you might think. Plus, practicing this way helps your English grow naturally.
If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future episodes.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us. Keep practicing, keep reflecting, and remember that progress doesn't have to be loud to be real.
We'll see you next time. Take care, everyone, and have a wonderful day.
Bye for now.